Yeah.
It would be nice to start this session right from the beginning, recording it.
Yeah.
I usually forget and then hit it about a minute or 2 minutes later. So you got it at the beginning this time. Okay, I know you've been away, but I just wanted to see if you had time to read the comments that I wrote in Evernote from our last session.
Yeah, those I read. Yeah.
And how did you find them?
I found it useful in terms, not only in terms of the sessions with you, but in terms of my own thinking, my own personal thinking around things that happen.
Okay, because I found that I really wanted to write that comment because I realized that I hadn't connected the dots up with you between your need for confirmation and you're giving me only negative things to work with. And so I felt whatever I do, I have to write this comment quickly before I forget it. It's really important. I want you to remember that you, just as I manage these sessions, you manage them with me, and you certainly, as an active partner in the work we do together, you certainly need to, in a sense, manage me. It doesn't really translate very well into Italian, this expression. It's a bit worrying in Italian, and it's not at all in the English language, because what it means is give me what I need so that I can give you what you need.
Yeah.
So if you want confirmation, give me information that I can confirm and say, well done, that was exactly it. And you were doing that. Again, I repeat, I don't want you to think you're not doing it, because as far as G was concerned, at the end, you were doing it beautifully. You were showing me your thought processes from the negative and how they shifted to the positive and the powerful. So remember that when you get stuck in the negative, switch it to the positive. What have you done that you think feels better for you? What have you done that makes you feel better? What have you done that you're happy with?
Yeah.
Okay, what have you thought? It doesn't need to be an action, it can be a thought. But if it seems from our last session that what's really important for you is still to have confirmation that you're doing the right thing, I will, for a while, be very happy to give you that. Obviously, I want to reduce your need for this sort of confirmation, because I want you to trust yourself.
Yeah.
So that's why I say for a while I will still be happy to give you confirmation. But in order to give you what you want, I need you to give me the information that will help me do that.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, that was clear. And I tell you, it helped me also think through the way I see things or the way I communicate. And I must say, I also appreciated when you said that unless there are moments in which you don't have this positive view. I mean, you said something about the fact that there are moments in which I don't see that, and that can happen.
They hopefully will become increasingly rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
As they did with G.
Yeah. No, sure.
So
no, I think
one difficult relationship, particularly at a time when it was coming to an end, means that you can do it in others. So I don't doubt your ability for a moment. I know you can do it. You've done it once, you can do it again.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think the kind of reflection that your writing stimulated was related to that aspect, and the fact that I'm trying to, I think I'm able to see where I'm doing, where I'm progressing, or when I'm kind of, I can try and see the positive things. But sometimes, sorry, Tito, puoi andare di là, per favore? But I realize that I have a bit, even if I kind of celebrate a bit my achievements, there are moments in which I'm very negative about myself, not much about what I can do. I don't know, it's a sense like feeling more vis-a-vis the future, I don't know how to express that, a bit on life, like I feel sort of old and ugly, and the nice part of life has gone, something like that, which is not that terrible then, because I still, I mean, it's not a tragedy. I don't feel desperate. It's one thing I realized that, you know, I've not been crying for such many months now, which is weird. I notice it. I've not been crying.
Kind to who?
No, crying, just crying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Well,
how do you feel about that?
Well, it's like I'm moving from a state in which I was pretty much emotional on the positive and on the negative, to a state in which I'm much calmer, much more, and I think this is I think I'm still fighting a bit with the concept of of the ecstasy and agony versus more balanced life. I think I still have a bit of feeling that more balance and calm is boring and has to do with I have this perception of myself in these days that also it has a lot to do with the physical part. Like I told you, I have this feeling I put on weight. I have a big acne problem, which I think it's related to hormones. The homeopathic doctor say that I'm kind of simulating a menopause, but I cannot take I cannot take pills or stuff like that because I have genetic things. So I'm just taking homeopathic drugs. I see no positive effect. I see myself as ugly. I cut my hair and I hate the cut of it. I mean, it's very physical, that thing. But then I'm on the other side, like I feel like I'm someone who will not be any more attractive to a man, and I think I'm also avoiding any possible encounter, contact, or any possibility of meeting other people, new people, just only when I feel very safe. But on the other side,
men or both men and women?
No, especially men, I would say. Although, especially men. But I'm also especially men, because then at school with the new groups, I'm relatively still sociable, and it has I think it has a lot to do with a physical perception of myself, which is going very badly compared to before. But at the same time, I tell you, in general, it's not. I mean, I'm not desperate about it. It's not something that totally depresses me. And on other aspects, I notice that it feels almost like I have a bit of more self-confidence. This thing I organized in Mali last week, I think was a relatively big thing. It was a South-South exchange among 8 projects that we finance. And I mean, we're in a team, etc. But I'm the one who created all the concept and everything, and I was happy about that. And now next week I'm going to go to Bonn at the climate change conference, and I have to speak like almost in a panel every day. And I wanted to have this session before, because I probably need a bit of help on managing stress. but I accepted all this, and I'm not only scared, I'm also quite challenged. I'm quite happy to have to do that, and it's weird because I always hate being on a panel and speak to public, but I'm taking it much more. I mean, so far I'm taking it much more relaxed than before, and it's almost like I'm more worried about the fact that I really look ugly than about the fact that I'm going to talk to in public, which has always been my big thing. I always became very anxious and.
Okay, well, let's look at this thing about your body, and particularly see if there's a link between these thoughts coming up that you're having, that you don't like your body and you don't like your haircut and no one's going to find you attractive anymore and the best years are over, with the fact that you have this diagnosis of I can't remember the words you used, with something to do with the menopause.
Yeah, they told me you are simulating. I don't know if it's the right word in English, simulare. Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know. We talk about early onset menopause when it comes earlier than it's meant to come, but I've never heard of a simulated menopause.
Yeah.
So usually when the menopause happens, and even in what we call perimenopause, which is about 8 years before we actually go into menopause, these feelings can come up. I don't know how old you are.
Yeah, I'm 43, almost 44.
So depending when you go into menopause, and I think the average age for a woman is about 52. So you're not quite in menopause yet, but one of my Norwegian friends is in perimenopause, and she is 44. And she's considered to be in perimenopause, so maybe you're in it. If you are, these feelings are perfectly normal. Every woman feels it when we hit a certain age and our body stops producing estrogen in the way it used to. And we can still be having full periods, but there comes a moment in everybody's life when the scales tip, and tip from the best is yet to come to the best is now over. So you say that you're not too depressed about it. You're not desperate about it, but just watch those feelings, because they may be the simple fact that you're not producing quite as much estrogen as you used to. And the hormones are affecting your mood, and it may be nothing more than that. But actually in a woman's life, this change is enormously important, because you get to think things that you've never dared to think before, because you're much more free. You don't have to be worried that every time you make love or have sex, you could get pregnant. So there are the most amazing things that happen in what can be a very tough period. Okay. But I don't know a single woman who has ever said, "Oh God, I wish I still had my periods."
Okay, yeah.
And still, I wish I still had that monthly pain. Oh.
No, sure. That's true. I never heard it either.
So there are lots of pluses about it. And maybe, I don't know how much of an expert your homeopath is, but this is something that you could talk to her about, what a simulated menopause really means.
Yeah, because I still have a period, although not as regular as before.
Okay.
So she said, I did the blood test, they said the hormones, the level is okay, but then is the way.
Yeah. The peaks and troughs.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. So that is very. No, but okay, no, that's already good to hear that it's normal.
It's completely normal. And, you know, some women have a terrible time, and one of my colleagues just went completely insane for a few years. She just cried at the drop of a hat. Everything was a disaster, or the world was going to come to an end with her. And it was all because her hormones were so unbalanced, and nothing she did helped it. Nothing. So she went through a fairly miserable time for a few years. So you're mild, very mild in comparison. Okay, so just watch it and maybe talk to your homeopath about it, who might well know more.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, for the time being, I started, I mean, she gave me things to, I mean, homeopathic drugs to take. I started for maybe now since a couple of weeks, so it's early.
It's still early days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Well, homeopathic medicine is great because it is so very gentle. So often you don't realize that something is changing until you've taken the remedy for quite a while, and then you think something like, oh, hang on a minute, I couldn't have done that, 3 months ago. Oh, it is changing. I do feel better. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's true. No, exactly. So that's why I say it's early. It's still a bit.
So let's talk then about. I'm not worried by this. I think it is just your body adapting to the change that we all have to go through to some degree. I don't know to what degree, because I don't understand what a simulated menopause is. But I'm sure your homeopath will, or perhaps someone else like your family doctor will be able to tell you more, or your gynecologist. If they can't, then no one can, quite honestly. So let's then look at going to Bonn and managing your stress levels there, so that you can stay relaxed and share your expertise with the audience that's going to be there. Okay, because it doesn't matter how fat, how ugly, how short your hair is. It doesn't matter anything when you get to those conferences. All that matters is, do you know your stuff, and can you answer my questions clearly in a way that I can use the information you're giving me? That is the only thing that matters, and that is the only thing that you're judged on.
Yeah.
Okay, it's what's inside your head, not what's going on in your womb. Okay, with your hair.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I have terrible problems about my hair, because you wouldn't believe it now, but I have my father's hair, which was extremely black, extremely thick and curly and long, and just totally unmanageable. And fortunately, it started to go white when I was very, very young. When I was 14, I already had streaks. So it became slightly more manageable. But because of how it is, I need a very good technical haircut. If I don't get it, then particularly as my hair gets more white, it's not actually white. The trichologist said it's actually transparent. So it's thin. And I have a ton of hair, and all the hairdressers say, I have to cut more than half of your hair away, because otherwise it's just not manageable. It won't last a week. So there's all of this going on, and I am still ultra sensitive about my hair. When I'm at home, I don't care. But when I go out, I want it to be as I want it to be. And that has caused me to say, well, I'm not going out because I don't feel comfortable about my hair, which is a crazy thing to do. So now I'll ask a friend and say, I don't feel good about my hair. Look, it looks great. It's fine. We don't care about your hair. It looks great. You might not understand it, but it does look great. What we care about is you and your laughter, and what you know, and you being there. So I get a friend to reality check when I know that my thinking is distorted.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I sometimes try to do that also by myself, like on this thing of having put on weight, which I tell you is not that put on 10 kilos. I mean, it's maybe when you have four, I mean, it's not a huge thing that, so I tell myself, okay, for me, it's huge, but in the end, it's not. And yeah, I like when you say what is going on in my mind is not what goes on in the audience, and not even maybe outside the door.
No, and they might find your haircut adorable. You know, you aren't them, and they aren't you. So use their different perspective to help you when you know that your thinking is off.
Yeah.
And well done for doing it with yourself. If you can, find someone else to do it, because it's more effective at times coming from them.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, it just has a bit more of a punch. Sometimes I can do it for me, and that's it. That's all that I need. But there are times when I'm tired or not feeling well, when actually it's always better when it comes from someone else. I trust it more.
Yeah, no, me too, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so get someone you know to just help you.
Okay.
With that, because it's not a big deal.
Okay.
And certainly no reason why you should feel nervous about going to Bonn, which is a big thing. Well done, by the way.
Yeah.
Well
No, there is one other dimension to that probably G will be there. I'm not in the events in which I'm going and speaking, or where I have to go. I don't think we will meet, but probably we will at some point in the. I mean, yeah, maybe at some point we will.
Okay.
So this also makes me nervous. Because yeah, also, I mean, there is that dimension of me feeling ugly, and also in general I still think a lot about him. I mean, I still dream about him.
All right, let's stop you there and get you back to the Bonn conference and away from you for a moment. Okay, how busy are you likely to be at the Bonn conference?
A lot, very busy. So yeah.
So the chances are you are going to be so busy.
You're right.
That even if you see him, it will be like two ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry, I've got to go because I'm speaking, or, you know, I need to be there.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I do understand your feelings, but what I'm suggesting is you have the tools to manage those feelings. The tools in this case are your knowledge about what goes on at these conferences. They are so busy. That you don't get time to breathe. It's fantastic. It's really exciting. But at the end of the day, you collapse.
Yeah, no, that's true. And now that you say that, I also want to bring a positive, I mean, a mixed negative, positive example. But when I went to Mali, I got a message from one of my friends from the NGO I work with, that he set up a sort of crowdfunding thing for young girls and boys in Rwanda, for them to access IT studies. And the crowdfunding is called Adotta un Nerd, and, which is lovely. And this guy is super nice. It's one of my older friends. It's really nice. And this is something that I had talked to G about when it was created, when I know it was in the process of being created. And then I got, now it's out. So I sent it out, I circulated to a number of friends, and I decided to include him in the mailing list. Just, I mean, it was a BCC list, and I sent it. And I thought, okay, maybe it was from a sort of something I should not have done. But then, in the end, and when I did that, I thought, okay, that was stupid of me, and now I will stay there all day waiting for a response. And in the end, no, I was in Mali, I was busy like hell, like the cop, and I must say I did not really expect a response, and I did not stress or suffer or anything for not getting a response. I only thought maybe he's the kind of person who gives a lot of money to this thing, which is good. And if he doesn't, who cares? But yeah, I mean, it's not trying to justify myself for having done that. Probably, yeah, I was a bit of a sleep or a weakness, I don't know. But then I did not think about it the whole day and night, away checking.
What did you do that makes you think it might have been a weakness? What did you do?
Like trying to get in touch with him in a way or another, try to send a signal or something like that. While so far, whenever.
And why? Okay, let's reality check that. Okay, I'm interrupting you because I don't want you to go down that route, because I think it's totally unnecessary. You think that you might have just found an excuse to get in touch with him.
Yeah.
But you've also told me in the last minute or so that you sent it to him because he has a lot of money to invest in things like this.
Yeah, I know he liked the concept when we talked about it, and I thought it maybe the person who.
Now, one is a very productive thought, and one is an undermining thought. So one is a weapon thought, and one is a tool thought. So the choice is yours. Which one do you want to believe? Which one do you want to use and feel is yours, reflects you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true.
Okay, so yes. I want to encourage you you make a lot of use of the negative. And some of that negative hasn't even happened, it's just a fear. And you've got all of these good, productive tool thoughts and tool actions that are very well thought through that you don't use. You just completely sail over them and get to the negative thoughts. So, what does this tell you about how to manage your thinking processes? Next time you think about G and whether you contacted him for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, what are you going to do that will be helpful to you and make you feel relaxed and calm and good about yourself?
Yeah, just focus on the right reason.
Well, what was the right reason from the one that you've given me just now? Which one was the right reason?
That it could be the person who sees this and decide to sponsor it.
Yes, he's a good fit for the project.
Yeah.
Something good might come out of it. So if you know that you sent the email to him for that reason, don't waste time with the other thought. It's a fear, and fear is always not real. Okay? Fear can be based on an imaginary event just as easily as it can be partly based on a past event. But in any case, neither are true, because what happened in the past doesn't necessarily have to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Or now. Because we change and we're constantly changing. And everybody involved in the experience is changing too. Everybody who's involved in that thought is changing too. So what happened in the past need not happen now. It's just your fear that is assuming that if I thought this in the past, then I am thinking it now.
Yeah.
And that's getting the sopravvento over the really helpful thoughts that you have.
Yeah.
Okay. So reality check your thoughts. Remember that a fear is not a real experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It's just a fear.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with that fear? Let it keep growing, in which case you're using your weapons, and go ahead and use your thoughts as weapons against you. But if you don't want that fear to grow, then use your productive, reality-checked tool thoughts that says, no, I didn't do it for that reason. There might have been a bit of that in it, but actually that's not important. What really made me decide was the fact that he's a good fit for this project. He's interested in it. He might be able to help. I'm choosing that. Okay, done, dusted. I'm not going to waste any more time on this thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's true. And also, I thought I sent it while I was in Mali, also thinking in any case I have an out of office reply, so there's no risk to reconnect. And then I tell you, I was not that attached to the idea of the response. It doesn't respond. I mean, I really was much more busy on other things. And
good. All right. So
being busy could be a good strategy at the COP too. Yeah.
It will be. It will be. And enjoy being busy. Don't just be busy for busy's sake. Enjoy being busy.
I will be. I know it. I mean, it's my fourth COP now. I know.
So you know what to expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are you feeling now about Bonn? Are you feeling more relaxed? Do you need more help?
No, I think, I think I feel more relaxed. Yeah, also this thing you said about the past, because I've been last year when I was in Marrakesh, which was actually the first time you and I spoke before striking.
Yeah.
It was a very, very difficult moment, and was the moment in which the day before leaving for Marrakesh, I had a panic attack. It was when my uncle went to the hospital, and I felt really lonely and hurt. And then and then in Marrakesh, it was difficult. I have moments of panic, but then whenever I had to talk on the panel, it went very well. I even was filmed for a certain interview and went well too. So it was weird, but with colleagues, especially with Brian, my former boss, I've been crying one day. He brought me to the hammam. I had a very difficult moment. And I keep on saying I can't arrive in Bonn this year in the same situation, drained and stressed. And this is also why I was sick today. I did not go to the office. I decided I don't go tomorrow. I take good care of myself. I try to recover. And but it's like I'm worried that it happens again. But why it should happen again? I mean,
it will only happen again if you let it happen again.
Yeah.
And you let it happen again if you don't look calmly and lucidly at your thoughts and you don't choose them.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no need for it to happen again.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Because you know to breathe slowly and deeply, you know to, what else do you know? What can you use to protect you against this happening again? The panic attack that you felt last year in Morocco, presumably you were speaking French?
No, but no, it was all in English. No, but I'm much more comfortable in French than English.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why maybe in Mali I was more comfortable. But no, but I even this thing with language, I think it's going better now. I always said, I mean, I've been working in the UN now for more than 10 years, and I always have the complex that my English is not good enough, and how can I speak in public and
let's move back to the question. The
yes,
question was, what are you going to use from what you've learned with me over the past year to help you if you do have a panic attack?
No, if I do have a panic attack, I think it's really an issue of breathing and focusing on the positive thoughts.
And what are the positive thoughts? Give me some examples.
In a situation like that one, I mean, if I think of Bonn, the positive thoughts would be the fact that I'm there with some nice colleagues, especially. Sorry, non capito. Sì, bravo. Fatti la doccia e poi mangiamo. And I think it's really I mean because I'm speaking in some sort of a series of events organized by a colleague who is very, very nice, is from a different organization.
Don't
And
details. Stay with the answer to the question.
yeah, no, so I think that is a positive thing for me, the fact that it's a nice environment. I'm supported by nice people.
Mm-hmm. What else is positive for you? What else do you enjoy?
I think I started enjoying a bit the fact of sharing the experience I have, which is still a mixed feeling. I still don't like being on the spot, but I started enjoying.
What does that mean, on the spot?
Like on a panel, when you sit there and you have all the people looking at you while you speak.
In English, when you say on the spot, it doesn't mean.
Okay.
It doesn't mean sul palcoscenico.
Okay.
Okay. It means you've made things difficult for me. Mi hai messo in difficoltà.
Okay.
Non è la stessa cosa. Okay.
And what should I say?
So I don't like being on the panel. I'm still getting used to it. I'm still very nervous about it. But we all like sharing our experiences, don't we?
Yeah.
Even you.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting to everyone when we share our experiences, particularly when we're passionate about them.
Yeah.
And you're passionate about the work you do. So to have an opportunity to share your passion and to share your results is very exciting. Or no?
No, sure. That aspects, I see that, yeah.
Okay. So if I have to go and do things in Italian, I'm getting to a stage now where I've got a big project in the Verona province schools, and it's got to be all done in Italian. And earlier this year, I was really panicking, and I thought, well, what do I want to do about this? Do I want to do nothing? No, absolutely not. What do I want to do? How can I improve my spoken Italian without, by doing something I love? And I thought, well, I love reading. And the only thing I've read for the last 10 years are science journals and psychology journals and research. And I thought, okay, this is the perfect excuse for me to go and buy or get my old Tiziano Terzani books out of the box that I've packed them in and reread them because I love him. And I read them out loud so I can correct my pronunciation and get used to the pronunciation and using my speech mechanism in a different way. So that's what I did. Every day I do an hour of reading out loud in Italian to get better after so long of not really speaking Italian, even though I live here, to get better, to prepare for going into the schools in January and needing to be the consultant who's teaching them things like metacognition, emotional intelligence, and teamwork. So there are a lot of things we can do to improve and to diminish our nerves around speaking in public.
Okay.
Right? So before you go, there might be things that you can think that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, it's good for me to, especially when I have to present on a topic, it's good to rehearse a bit because yeah, this I need.
Do you enjoy it though?
I realize that for me, it's always much better when at the end, I mean, the presentation is always a bit stressful, but then when there are questions from the public, for example, which is in theory the thing that should scare me most, because I don't know if I have the answer, or it's, I mean, unexpected. But in the end, on those ones, if I feel like I have a contribution to give, I'm much more relaxed on that. The part, the presentation part, a bit less, but yeah, I mean, I got used to it.
Good. So how long is your presentation? How many?
I have many. I have one every day, one from
Okay.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, with PowerPoint, without PowerPoint.
Okay. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
So are they different presentations, or are they all around the same theme? So there's lots of shared language and shared points between them.
But so and so, but I mean, the language is all work related. Apart, there is one topic which I'm actually
I don't mean the literal language.
No.
I mean the terminology, the vocabulary that you use.
Will be
all about the same topic.
No, the topic is not the same, but a bit. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of commonalities.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. Okay, so it's not that it's a different set of vocabulary for one presentation from another. It is just the different aspects of a bigger topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a book that's written by a British and English speaker that you like, that you would enjoy, on this subject, on the work that you do?
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of material in English on that, yeah.
Yeah. I would be surprised if there weren't. So this is up to you, but if you like reading, then read a book in English, read it on the flight. Not for, I've got to do this because I'm nervous about my English or whatever.
Yeah.
But I want to do this, it's relaxing, I'm going to enjoy it. So you get yourself more into thinking in the other language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, yeah, but it's still, I mean, by now I work in English all the time there's no one speaking Italian where I work. So, I mean, apart from, maybe some exchanges, not the work-related exchanges, but so this is also.
But you wanted to say should at one point. So should. I thought, what's coming? And you stopped it. So well done for that. But it sounds as though there's a criticism in there, like I should speak English better, or I shouldn't be so nervous.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It sounds a bit like a criticism in the sense that that since I work only in English, it's funny because for example, I'm not longer able to write well in Italian, which was something I was super good at doing. And now I only write in English, French a bit for work. And so I think, my English should be better. But I think also on the work-related issues, it's easier.
Sorry, do you speak English with mother tongue English speakers, or with other people who are using English as their second language?
Both, but there are many mother tongue, or at least that they've been educated in English. Yeah.
But they're not mother tongue.
Yeah, not all of them.
Okay, because English now has become a universal language. The trouble is, it's no longer English. It is used so badly. So how can you learn good English if the people around you aren't speaking good English?
No, okay.
So be aware that just as here in Italy, we complain about the decline of the use of Italian and our knowledge. I mean, who was it the other day who called a substantive an adverb, a politician?
Okay, wow, yeah.
Oh, that's not Lega Nord. And he said, I'll stop using the adverb as in Nord. I thought, even public figures really mess up badly with the language. I was once working in a company, and One of the managers corrected my Italian and said, what are you saying? You don't say it like that. And all his colleagues leapt at him and said, she got it right, you got it wrong. So speaking a second language and being critical of ourselves for it is a double-edged sword, especially if we're with people like here in Trentino, everybody speaks dialect.
Yeah.
You know, when I lived in Milan, they didn't. Outside of their homes, they spoke Italian, so it was much easier to learn the past remote. Here, the past remote is never, ever used. I'm the only one who uses it. I get it wrong from time to time. The conjunctive's never used.
Yeah, I see.
So it's a difficult issue. If the key is, if you are speaking and the people around you understand you, just accept that level. You might, the perfectionist in you might want to improve it, but that's another, it's another thing. Keep the two separate, don't confuse them.
No, you're right. Also, because I have this thing that in the professional world, more or less I have the vocabulary because I've always been working in English. But then when it comes to personal things, and this is where I also realized that with you is a bit difficult, with Gernot was, because with French, I've been living in French-speaking countries, and so it becomes more 360 degrees the language. While when you only use the language for work, not for personal life, it's different. And so you have this thing with English. But then, for example, there's that South African guy I met in one of the COP years ago, and then that we see each other from time to time. And he always said, but we communicate perfectly. Where's the problem? Why do you think that language is such a barrier? You make yourself understood clearly. And
you make yourself understood. And that's the thing that when I used to teach English, I always told my students, there are two levels of English. One is perfect English, which no one speaks. And the other is the English that allows you to say what you want to say. And there's always an unevenness, because a couple of weekends ago, I was down in Parma to celebrate a friend's 40th birthday, and I hadn't seen him for many years. But a group of us went down from Trentino, and there were 10 of us in the group. We had an amazing time. But I met him because he is a fashion stylist. So when he was a client, I was translating a lot of his technical Italian into technical English.
Yeah.
And so I learned the words, but now I don't remember those words in Italian anymore. So I had to take shortcuts around things I couldn't say and find other ways to say them. And that doesn't matter, and it doesn't upset anybody. In fact, I think it impresses them, because we can find another way to say what we want to say. Perhaps not with the perfect terminology, but we're always forgiven for that.
Yeah.
Always. So again, it comes back to perfect English or perfect Italian is not possible, simply because it's not spoken anywhere anymore. And English is particularly vulnerable to this because it's spoken all over the world. And Americans just, what they do through English language is incredible. The amount of American television programs there are where the language isn't even English anymore. You know, they use the wrong tense, they use it in the wrong way, they use the wrong verb. There is a level of ignorance, grammatical ignorance, that makes perfection in a language impossible. So just put that to one side, and focus on this question: can I say what I want to say in this language?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, accept that, be as happy as you can with it, and then if you still want to improve it, then do something to help yourself improve it. My something was reading books in Italian, reading them out loud, because I constantly make mistakes with the feminine and masculine endings, particularly if there's a feminine word that has an O. to end it.
Yeah.
My brain just skips over it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's true. And also, I mean, I work in an international environment. There are people from all countries. I mean, everyone has his or her own accent, and
yes, and everybody has difficulties.
Yeah.
So it's very much more difficult to speak in another language with other people who aren't mother tongue speakers, and it can often be easier to understand them, but also more difficult to understand them.
Yeah.
So
no.
just what I'm trying to say to you in a very long way is, don't focus on my English isn't good enough. Focus on, am I being understood? Can I say what I need to say to be understood? And let that be your benchmark. Let that be all that matters. If my English isn't good enough thoughts come up, you just say no to them. You say, no, this is not a helpful thought for me to have. Now I need to focus on what are helpful thoughts.
Yeah.
I need to use my thoughts as helpful tools, not as weapons that undermine my confidence and undermine my ability to enjoy this event. Because these events are a powerhouse of ideas, of contacts, of inspiration.
No, exactly. And it's part of the perfectionist, as always. It's never good enough. But it doesn't help.
And who uses that? Which aspect of you uses the perfectionist that we speak a lot about? It's called giudice interiore in Italian.
Yeah.
What do I call them?
How do you...
What do I call il giudice interiore?
It's not the I mean, it's when I sabotage myself.
Yeah, I call it the inner bully.
Yeah, the inner bully.
Yeah. Because she or he, whatever sex we want to give this aspect of ourselves, bullies us.
Yeah, yeah.
And that robs us of our ability to enjoy an event that is fantastic.
No, that's true.
So you choose your thoughts, okay? You consciously choose your thoughts. That's the best advice I can give you for going to Bonn.
Yeah.
Choose the thoughts you want and say no to the thoughts that you know undermine you and that are bullying you. Because what are bullies? What do we know about a bully? What are they really? What do they pretend to be? And what are they really?
Yeah, I guess, for me, I guess the perfectionist is the big bully I have in general.
What are human bullies? What do they pretend to be? And what are they really?
Okay, no, they pretend to be strong and strong people while they aren't normally.
They're weak. They need to get to you because they're afraid that if they don't, you'll get to them.
Yeah.
Okay. So your bullies are weak too. You can tell them, no, I don't want this thought, go away. It might try to come back again, but you're stronger than your bullies, your inner bullies, okay?
Yeah.
You're stronger than your inner perfectionist bully. And I know she can be pretty strong at times because I know what mine is like. But you are always stronger. And it is your right to enjoy Bonn and every opportunity that it offers, to make new connections, to network, to explore what other people are doing, to explore new ideas. It's fantastic. I adore events like those. I come away and it takes me months to get everything out of my head onto paper so then I can do something with it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that brain dump of creativity.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, and I know I can enjoy it as long as I don't let bullies be English or on look and physical appearances or whatever. as long as I don't let
Well,
them.
what can you say to your inner bully if she gets you about your hair? What might you be able to say to her that would make you feel better?
Oh, that one is difficult. I must say whenever I keep on telling myself when I have these bad moments, okay, it will pass, I will go better, but I can't find a solution for the moment now, for the physical feeling I have.
Okay, well, I would say something like, who cares? You know, I'm not being paid for my hairstyle. I'm being paid for 40 years of experience in this work.
Mm. Yeah. No, that's the
Who cares? And my inner perfectionist shuts up. She used not to all of the time. Well, to begin with, she was so stunned that I answered her back. She was quiet. But then she tried again. And I said, I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to you. This thought is not helpful and it's not actually true. So goodbye. So I will say things like that. That's how I started. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? You know, you don't need to say anything else, but just who cares? If it will work for you, use it.
Yeah. And I noticed that also when I managed to be in this a bit more in the Ukras mode, which is also related to the presentations and to whatever I'm doing, where I managed to put a bit of distance between myself and the things I'm doing, not like because sometimes I so much identify with what I'm doing that if it doesn't go, if something is not perfect, then it's me who is not good enough. And when I manage to be a bit more distant vis-a-vis the specific situation, then it's better. And also, maybe I don't say the right thing in the right moment, but then it's not a catastrophe. I mean,
no, it's not never a catastrophe. And another answer you can give to, say, your hair or your presentation is, who said so? If your inner bully comes up and says, well, you messed up there, who said so? Because if you ask people in the audience or your colleagues, they will say, I didn't notice it.
Yeah. And that's
So who said so? Because our inner bully thinks it is the sole guardian of the rules for us, of what's good, what's right, what's wrong about us. And it's not. It's not the only person who has something to say about it. Our friends are, our colleagues are. And every person you ask may have a slightly different perspective.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it's 1 out of 10, then why should the inner bully win? You know, everybody has a different opinion. Choose someone else's.
Yeah.
Okay, and for that, a good thing is, well, thank you, but so and so said this, and I'm choosing to go with that. So sometimes my inner perfectionist can say, you really, that was a disaster.
Yeah.
And I've asked someone about it. I've said, you know, I felt I really messed up there. And then, did you? We didn't notice it. So let's call one of my friends Monica. Okay, I have a friend called Monica, actually. And let's say that this has just happened and my inner bully has said, you really messed up there. That was a disaster. Then my answer would be, thank you. But Monica said that she didn't notice it. And I choose to believe that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you reality check the inner bully all the time and you don't take what she says to you at face value. She's not the only one with an opinion. Everybody in the room will have an opinion. Find one that you like, that makes you feel okay about yourself even.
Yeah, that's a good. What I was saying about my South African friend actually works with that. It's something I never did it consciously, but now that I think about it, I should think, okay, I should stick to what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Use your friends, your supportive friends' comments.
Yeah.
That's what they're there for. They're little messengers to us to say, hey, don't believe what the voice inside your head is telling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So what are the big takeaways for you from this session? What's something that's really resonated with you most?
Well, definitely again and again, the choosing my thoughts, that it's my choice where to focus, and I want to remember that. And well, on the fact that let's say the physical feeling is perfectly normal also helps me. And yeah, it's a bit where I was in not making a tragedy out of it, but saying, okay, it's a moment of transition, and probably every woman on earth goes through it, and yeah, and then also, I mean, just in terms of more of strategy, but I think being busy, the cop, is good. And not get sidetracked by thoughts or other things, and just stay focused on the things I will have to do. And
Good.
I'm learning a bit also, for example, vis-a-vis my mother, which is, I also say, okay, now I'm going to Bonn. When I'm back, I'll think about her. Just postpone some of the things, because then it's too much if I'm there, and I have also to deal with her here. And so I think the thought of G can be something like that. Just I move from that scene.
Anything you can do to take control of your thoughts, not to control them, but to have the thoughts that you actually want, is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so use whatever you can. The compliments of friends, the reassuring comments of friends, the opinions of friends. Use your own experience of these conferences to help you manage any thoughts that you might have around G, or any anxiety.
Yeah.
Use comebacks to your inner bully. Never sarcastic, but challenge your inner bully, that inner perfectionist who said so. So what? Thanks, but I choose to believe my friend who said it was this instead. So
yeah,
it's always the simplest things that work the best. And because they're the simplest things, we underestimate them.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. Okay.
Good. So when are you flying out to Bonn?
On a Monday.
Okay, and when are you coming back?
The 2 weeks after, basically.
Oh, you're there for 2. Oh gosh, yes, of course. That's going to be exciting. Okay, so which means that we're having sessions every fortnight. You will be in Bonn.
Yeah, I guess this time will be in 3 weeks' time.
Okay, so book your session for 3 weeks' time. Okay.
Yeah.
Give yourself a couple of days to relax when you get home, and then book it now, but book it for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's done. You don't have to worry about it. You know, you've got a little time to relax when you get home, and you can just focus on enjoying.
Okay, and then if there is some emergency, I can always.
Yes, you can always SMS me. Okay. All right. Well done. Okay.
Thanks.
Well, keep getting better, and have a fantastic time. And I will look forward to hearing all about it when you come back.
Okay.
All right.